The front here will hold a 15-inch laptop or an iPad. And then pockets, I had one amputee put his prosthetic hands in there.
Why haven't you patented this?
I wouldn't chase the patent. if I were you.
No.
It's really expensive. And patents are only good if you can afford to enforce them. And you have a nice little business with it, I think, if you want to, but the patent would be really expensive.
Okay, well,
Plus design.
you know, instead of a for-profit business, you might want to think about launching a 501c3 and just becoming a nonprofit. And because you're getting all the stuff donated right now, you could continue, and then you could solicit contributions and...
Start with looking, I think the first thing you have to do is figure out what you think you can produce these things for, how much money, and then what the market can purchase it for. Those are your 2 steps to start. And then you can decide, well, maybe I should be a nonprofit. It's too expensive, you know, for the people I really want to support with it. Or it really works as a for-profit business. I would start by meeting with some of, there are a couple of people that sew bags professionally, and just talking about what a pattern would cost to get made. I'm sure in North Carolina, a couple of places that when you talk about what your mission is with it, they'd be more than happy to kind of help you work through that process and understand your costs and things like that. And then there are a couple of different ways. I think this thing can be huge. I mean, like everybody said, it's way bigger than just the kind of veterans board. I mean, all the elderly and all, you know, I mean, it's a really convenient thing. So it seems like your market is really big. It's just about how you reach that audience and how much time and effort you want to do it. And you have a kind of a nice, clear mission here. And so I would start there and be very kind of tactical about like who I talk to about manufacturing, what those costs are. Do I just sell it online? And then we have a donation program as well that is kind of a PR thing as well, so people can help donate it, spread the word to all the VA hospitals and things like that. So, but I think it's awesome.
Another idea I have is to maybe partner with a wheelchair company, like, you know, there's so many of them out there, but they have accessories for all the wheelchairs that you can get when you order your chair when you're fitted. That could be a great accessory for the patient. I mean, my husband would have loved something like that. I love it.
I think also if you did a walker model with the wheelie walkers, I mean, I almost get ran over by about
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
every day.
When you make this, can you use a regular sewing machine, or do you like need a serger when you?
I do finish the insides. If I mass produced them, I'd have to get a different serger. But right now, I'm using a 1950 Singer sewing machine.
And then I had a question just in terms of like the size. Do you have an idea of like whether you want to be huge and big, or whether you want to, I guess, be smaller and more boutique-like? Do you have a bit, you know, have you thought about whether you wanted to serve thousands of people, or maybe you just wanted to keep it small and serve?
I want to keep it manageable.
What's your objective? I mean, if it's definitely not to make money, then it's, you know, you're kind of led down the path of nonprofit. You know, if there is the opportunity that you want to make money, then you're looking at, you know, you're partnering with the wheelchair company, or
Right.
going out and finding a business partner that does have the capital and the business knowledge to go out and put this together for you.
So it takes 8 hours to do one.
8 to 12 hours.
And how many can you turn out in a week? I mean, that's 12 if you did one a day, I mean, or 7, right?
You know, a lot of the manufacturers of bags and things, they do a lot of mill spec things and things like that, so they're kind of aware of kind of veterans issues and things like that. You might find somebody that's very receptive to this community as well, that kind of will help you work through the process. I think getting your manufacturing off your plate is the first step.
And
then
to find out
you
the
can
costs.
decide. Yeah, and find out the costs, and then kind of decide what your next steps are.
But I would add to what Damon and Doug were saying, your objective shouldn't necessarily be to make no income from the work that you put into it.
Even if it's not.
You should, yeah, you should be including in that your income, so you want to figure out what the costs of the bag are and the fabrics and your time and so forth and so on. And that idea of having somebody who likes selling partner with you, who goes to Kennedy Krieger or wherever and says, we've got bags, if you do an order, we can get, 50 hour.
I have their contact info, I haven't talked to
That'd be
them in a
great.
while, but they're a really nice small shop in North Carolina, close, so you can drive down and meet them and things like that. That might be a good first step to, do you know Etsy? It's a website that's like a bunch of makers and things. So there are all these the new trend of sewing in the United States is not central manufacturing, it's people at home that are professional sewers. But I know there's a woman on Etsy that does like 25 different sewers all over the South that she uses for her product. And I don't know how she's built that network, it would be interesting to find out. But so she's vetted this group, so she has kind of this distributed approach to manufacturing. So I assume she started with one and then hired 2 or 3 and 4. But
What is a fair price to buy a company for? How much revenue do they, how do you determine the worth of the company?
That's an open-ended question. Valuation, how are you gonna evaluate it? There's, 6 primary models with different offshoots on how you value a company. So it's hard to do, you gotta look at the market, look to see how long they've been in business, if they have a customer base, see what type of assets they have. So when you go through that, due process stage of acquiring or merging a company, it can get quite complex to be able to say this company is worth $1. Somebody else may come along and they may have, for example, a different business model that may say, oh, that company's worth $2. So it all depends on both parties.
So I was just gonna say, there are some rules of thumb in buying a business, and this is buying a business that's not buying assets necessarily.
Okay.
But it does depend on the industry. Certain industries are valued based on their revenue. Most industries are valued based on their cash flow, which, just as a really back of the envelope, 4 to 6 times EBITDA, which is your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. 4 to 6 times is a good sort of for a basic business rule of thumb. I throw technology not in that, biotech not in that.
I would look at that.
She would be in that, just your basic business, generally 4 to 6 times. Well, we put a due diligence checklist on the website.
One of the business ideas that my husband and I have is to open an indoor gun range in Virginia, and we've done some market research, and there's definitely a lot of shooters in Virginia.
The challenge isn't the size of your room. The challenge is that it's not an up and running business. So you don't really have any historical cash flow to support a loan. If some owner is sitting out there with a Butler building or some sort of warehouse that they can't get rid of, that they're just sitting on because they built it and nobody's renting it because they either don't like the location or it's not usable for some particular reason, you may find an owner that is desperate to get any kind of rental income into that space, and you could potentially negotiate with them to do the build-outs that you want. I mean, you do.
With that.
Yeah, you might first talk to a commercial leasing agent.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
In that area that specializes in the area you want to be in, the geographic area that you want to be in. And you're still not going to be able to get a loan for the business, but you now have shrunk it enough so maybe you can get a second trust on your house and do it that way.
And so sometimes you could pre-sell memberships and say, look, I've got 100 people that will use this space at X amount. And so you don't actually have a business plan per se that has history, but you have evidence of a need that banks and things will be.
That's actually a really good idea because you could look at it almost like you would a golf course.
Yeah, exactly.
And do the entire business plan exactly the way you might do a golf course, which is pre-selling the memberships or getting enough equity from people that will get their memberships for free. They just want to be part owners of it.